Hello, YouTube. So today I thought I might talk about tools for the beginning home mechanic. In other words, you've never really you've never tried to fix your vehicle, or you haven't done anything serious to fix your vehicle, and you want to kind of get into it. So it's kind of a limited field of people. Um, I guess another thing is you're not a technician. You don't do it for a living. You're not planning to do it for a living, even if you've never done it before. This is just all you're planning to do is fix your own vehicles and maybe some friends, and that's it. So, what tools would you need to do that, or at least to get started? And so, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over kind of what tools you need to get started. And again, this is for somebody who, most of us that do it on the side, not for money, mostly for our own stuff, and maybe some friends, is we do it. We've always done it, right? We grew up, our dads did it, and we just kind of followed. We spent hours and hours under the car with our dad holding a flashlight because we were the flashlight holder, and he would, show us how to work on cars, and then he would have us do it, and we would use his tools, and we'd mess them up, and we'd lose them, and we'd get him mad about that, but at the same time we were learning. And then, and his dad did it, and he learned from his dad, and he teaches it to us, and we were teaching it to our kids, and the kids are going to continue to do it. Anyways, so obviously you're not one of those, right? Otherwise, you'd already know what tools you need. So this is somebody whose dad didn't do it, right? Who didn't teach you how to do this, and you want to learn for whatever reason. Maybe maybe you want to save money. Maybe you want to do it for fun. I don't know, but that's who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to technicians. I'm not talking to somebody who's going to be a technician. I'm talking to those of you who want to learn something new, never done this before, you think it might be fun, or maybe just you think you want to save money and get into it. Maybe your coworkers at work are making fun of you because you're a mechanical engineer and you don't have a lot of tools and you don't work on your own car. So, anyways, not calling anybody out specifically, but let's go over some of the tools that you can start with that you need. Okay, so obviously, working on cars, the first thing you need are sockets, and there's a bunch of ways to go about it. First of all, if you're working on your car, especially if your car is older than 1998, 2000, even if it's an American car, it's going to have metric. All the bolts are metric. It's just the way it is. I have two American cars. I have a GM, or I have a Chevy Tahoe, and I have a Saturn SL2, and both of them after 2000, and pretty much all the bolts are metric. All the fasteners are metric, and so you need metric stuff. If you do work on like older, really old trucks, or if you do stuff that's not automotive, if you do woodworking, if you're working on other like appliances or just other stuff that has bolts on it, you might, especially here in America, you'll probably run into stuff that isn't metric, that is SAE. And so having some SAE stuff around is good. But if you're just working on cars, you just need metric. So you might as well just get a bunch of metric stuff. The Obviously, if you're not doing this for a living, you do not need to buy the most expensive brands, right? And so that doesn't mean you can't. Obviously, you can go online. Obviously, if you're doing this at home and you're not going to be a technician, you're not going to have access to a tool truck. And so you can still get those brands online if you want to, but it's going to be harder to warranty than other brands that you can find at stores. And so you might want to just buy stuff at stores. Now, in the past, I mean, if you want to talk about brand getting the best bang for your buck, in the past, what my grandfather did, what my dad did, is, they just bought Craftsman. They went to Sears and they got American-made Craftsman stuff, guaranteed forever. You break it, you bring it back, they give you a new one. And it was the best. I mean, that was what you did. Everybody had Craftsman. However, Craftsman's decided to change their policies, and now everything they make is out of China. I don't know what's out of Taiwan. Apparently, there's a difference, and so it's harder to. Now you have to kind of be picky and choosy as far as your brands. And some brands that used to be bad in the past are a lot better. And obviously Craftsman's a good example of a brand in the past that was great and now is horrible. And everybody's moving away. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about Craftsman. I would say just don't buy them. Look for somebody else, because either somebody's making the same thing from the same place and they're selling it cheaper than Craftsman, or they're making a better quality in the US and it's more expensive. So, I mean, price point, Craftsman's not there, and quality wise, Craftsman's not better than the ones that are cheaper than it. So let's look. I mean, here's an example of so this set right here, it's not in a case, and don't count these. Just look at these ones, and then most of these I've been filling them in with other stuff, but most of them they're Husky, and it says, I don't know if I can get a good Husky USA. So my brother-in-law, when I got married, he bought me, we were good friends before, but anyways, he bought me this Husky socket set, and it came with some ratchets, and not much, it came with box wrenches or combination wrenches. I'll show you those in a minute. And that was it. And it was in a case, and I chucked the case, and I went and bought a toolbox. In fact, I went and bought that guy and put him in it, and for years, to be more specific, more than 6. I mean, I just recently put him in this, and I just recently moved him out of that toolbox. I mean, so 17 years I've been using them like this, and I've used them a lot to do all of my mechanic stuff, and I've only recently ever really been upping my tool collection. So they weren't the best. They weren't even as good as the Craftsman at the time. I repaid the favor to him, and I did what my dad would have done, and I went and bought Craftsman, and I actually bought him a USA set, not knowing, but just not soon after they've been going. I guess I got them at the right time for them. Anyways, but these have been great tools, and so for you looking to buy a new tool set, a new socket set. First, obviously, again, you want to buy metric, and you could just buy only metric. There's some really good options though. If you're looking at, and remember, these are for people that are getting into the hobby, the hobby, I guess that's an interesting way to say it, but they're getting into working on their own stuff. They haven't done it before. They don't have a lot of tools, obviously. And so, first of all, do you know that you want to continue? If you're not sure, dumping a ton of money on an expensive set that you might not use a lot. Of course, usually tools hold their value, right? And so if you buy a set that's expensive, you can usually get it back by selling. At least you get some of it back, selling it online. So anyways, I would tell you the easiest set that I've seen that gives you a lot, and I'll put a video or a picture, is Pittsburgh from Harbor Freight. You go to Harbor Freight, you look at that 301, and I guess you can get smaller sets, but that 301 piece set, it's $200 normally. You can get it on sale for 150 something. You get a lot for that price, and for the most part, if you buy that set, it'll take you a while before you outgrow it. You'd really have to up your skill level to really outgrow that set. You can also, I have videos you can look at my video on socket sets on picking a full set. I show you lots of examples. Here's my Tekton set. That's another example. And, look around. Again, I go over lots of options in my other video. You can go to Napa and buy all their sets. You can go, you can buy these Tekton sets. They're basically, you get one set per drive. Now, I guess I can explain it to you if you don't know. There's 3 drive sizes, and what they talk about, so here's a ratchet, right? And if you look at this square here, there's a distance, right? And so this is a 1/4 inch square. So the 1/4 inch square, that's the dimension of this square, and the sockets have a little square in the back, right? So they will fit a 1/4 inch, and then you have ones that are bigger and they fit 3/8, and then the other size is a 1/2 inch. So you have the 1/2 inch size, and then of course there's bigger ones. You have 3. You can get some that are 3/4. You can get them that are 1 inch, and those are like if you're a farmer and you have a tractor, you're gonna or you have a big truck or something. But if seriously, if you've never worked on cars before, chances are you've never ran into something. You're not going to run into something that big for a while. So you don't need to worry about those big ones yet. 1/2 inch is probably the biggest, and even then, you rarely, unless you're doing. I guess you might run into it in the beginning. Anyway, so you have the 3 drive sizes. You have the easiest, again, is just buy the Harbor Freight one. If not, Husky still makes pretty decent ones. Cobalt at Lowe's makes decent ones. Tekton, that they make a good set. And Gear Ranch, they make a good set, or a bunch of sets. And they're all pretty close to the same. So just pick one. And again, I would pick the Harbor Freight one. If your first time to get into it, I'd pick that one. It'll take you a long ways, and eventually you'll figure out more what you exactly like, and you'll kind of buy that stuff instead to replace it. But your initial investment's really low at $150. Really hard to beat that. So you can go worse than this. These are not the worst sockets. There are worse sockets. Let me show you some things you need to look out for or not buy. So you might go to Walmart, and here's a set. I don't even know where I got this. I bet you somebody bought it. Maybe somebody bought it for me for Christmas. But this is a pretty cheap set, and this is you'll see. You look at the brand, but you'll see this. Harbor Freight sells these. Walmart sells them. They're all over. They're ubiquitous. They're all over the place. You'll find them all over the place, and they're really cheap, like $10, $15. So you get these sets, and they're just, you even, you know, like you go to pawn shops and you'll see the bad anyways, there's the ratchets are really bad. I mean, these ratchets are really bad. You know, they're just, let's see if I can even, maybe I should put a socket on it and give me some leverage. One that fits. So the way that these ones they have 3/8 and half and 1/4 inch, and they give you one of these because the ratchet's a 3/8 drive, and this changes it to a 1/4, so that you can use all the. I mean, you look at them; they're all shallow. And that you want shallow and deep, right? So look at these ones, shallow, deep. These ones all shallow. Let's put this one. Is that big enough? So that's one thing about ratchets you can look at is the teeth count, and you want a lot of teeth. This one has maybe 40 something. But anyways, I mean, here, let me show you this. They're all the same. They're all copied. They're all out of China. They're all pieces of junk. They fall apart. They'll work for a little while and then they won't. This one, I mean, this thing is nice if it was metal. Look, this has the same thing. Piece of plastic junk. Okay, so these are the made in China junk, right? These are more expensive, but they're not really expensive. They're made in Taiwan. Craftsman's made in China, and they're a lot better. Of course, they also cost a lot more. So these, I would say, and you'll see, like, I mean, you go to Walmart, and you, not just this exact set, although this exact set, it's amazing how many people make this thing. You'll just see this all over. But you'll also see, like, Master, I don't know, they'll have weird names. They'll be at Walmart. They'll just be a small set. It'll have a bunch of sockets and a bunch of box wrenches and one ratchet. Usually it's one of these exact ratchets, and they're just not worth any penny, any money you spend on them. Again, I didn't buy any of these, right? I'm trying to figure out where I got them from. I will say, just adding to, you know, these are just junk, and there's and these sockets, man, I have, like, these are small sockets, and I've actually split them, like a pick and pull or something, taking parts off of them. They do break. They're not that great at all, even though they're small. But I will say that there's like an in-between, like the Pittsburgh Pro, which is, I think, is a pretty good quality, and these are like really the lowest quality. I found these at Walmart. Hyper Tough. As long as you stay with the 1/4 inch stuff and not go bigger than like the 3/8. These sockets, I've been looking at them. See all the ones that are missing? That's because I've been filling my set in with them. So some of these ones are Hyper Tough. Let's see if I can. That's a Husky. I think it's a 4.5. And they also give you a 4.5 and a 5.5, which is incredible. I've been looking at the tolerances, and they're good. Looking at the chrome job, they're 10 times better than these guys are, and the metal quality is a lot better. Anyways, these guys are, this whole set cost me $7. It's just 1/4 inch. There's a clue. Instead of a mixed set, it's just 1/4 inch. I also bought the deep ones. Right? So I think this, yep. So a good way that you can tell that they're not that great is that they don't have a brand stamped on them. And these don't have a brand stamped on them, so they're not that great, but they're a lot better than any of the really cheap ones. So I would say these are, as long as you stay in 1/4 inch, these will work just fine. Of course, I also went and bought these branded ones, and like this is the Carlisle. That's a good brand. This is the Cobalt ones, and then the Tecton ones, obviously. They're much better quality, but they cost more. So if you're starting out, I think that buying this set, this one and the deep ones at Walmart, these ones are like 7 something, the deep ones are like 12, and you get tons of them. I wouldn't use this ratchet. The ratchet's junk. It's better. Well, I mean, it's better than all of these other ones. Better than one of these guys. Man, now I gotta remember which one was in here. Oh wait, it's that one. It's better. It's probably about the same as these. It's probably the same. The thing is, though, is that you can get better ratchets for pretty cheap. So stay away from this. Stay away from this stuff. Stay away from the generic branded stuff at Walmart that, like, I don't know. I'll throw a picture up to give you an example to stay away from. But other than that, you can go. I mean, they sell stuff at Harbor Freight that's crap, and they sell stuff that's pretty good. That's good enough. Okay, so I guess before we go to ratchets, you know, for the 1/2 inch stuff, you know, I bought this. This is the Pittsburgh set. You can tell it's missing a lot. The 18 is from Home Depot. I bought this separately, but that's essentially 10, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22, 24, and 27. That's pretty much the set. Everybody's bought them, and they just work really well. And rarely, here's an 18. I needed that one. Other than that, I haven't needed a size that wasn't there when I did 1/2 inch impact stuff, right? So, I mean, there you go. This is, again, Harbor Freight, and it works great. These impact deep sockets for 1/2 inch. And mostly when you're doing 1/2 inch stuff, you don't need the short stuff. Sometimes you do, but thanks for watching part 1, and please look for part 2 and the rest of the parts. I don't know how many parts there are going to be yet, but thanks for watching, and please watch the next part. It continues on.